Uhuru Kenyatta was born on October 26, 1961. He stands as one of the most significant figures in Kenya's post-independence political history. As the son of Jomo Kenyatta, Kenya's founding father and first president, Uhuru was born into a family that symbolized the aspirations and struggles of a newly independent nation. His life, from his early years through his education and eventual rise to leadership, reflects both the privileges and responsibilities that come with such a powerful legacy. Uhuru Kenyatta was born in Nairobi, Kenya, just 2 years before the country attained independence from British colonial rule. His birth came at a time of intense political transition, as Kenya African National Union (KANU), led by his father Jomo Kenyatta, pushed for sovereignty and self-rule. Uhuru's given name, Uhuru, is a Swahili word meaning freedom, a fitting symbol of the era's spirit and his father's lifelong struggle for Kenya's liberation. Growing up in Gatundu, Kiambu County, Uhuru's early childhood was marked by both privilege and national symbolism. As the son of the president, he was exposed to the inner workings of statecraft and the expectations of leadership from an early age. Yet, his parents, Jomo Kenyatta and Mama Ngina Kenyatta, instilled in him the values of discipline, cultural pride, and community responsibility. The Kenyatta family was deeply rooted in Kikuyu traditions, even as they occupied a prominent place in Kenya's emerging elite society. After Kenya's independence in 1963, Jomo Kenyatta became the first president of the republic, and the family moved into State House, Nairobi. This environment exposed young Uhuru to visiting world leaders, heads of state and diplomats, fostering an early understanding of international relations and governance. Despite the trappings of power, those close to the family have described Uhuru as a relatively modest and quiet child who was shielded from excessive public attention. Uhuru's education began at St. Mary's School in Nairobi, a private Catholic institution known for its high academic standards and focus on holistic education. While at St. Mary's, Uhuru was not only a good student but also participated actively in sports and extracurricular activities, developing a sense of teamwork and leadership that would later serve him well in public life. The school provided a multicultural environment that exposed him to students from diverse backgrounds, fostering tolerance and cross-cultural understanding, qualities that became central to his later political messaging about national unity. Upon completing his secondary education, Uhuru traveled to the United States to pursue higher studies. He attended the prestigious Amherst College in Massachusetts, where he majored in economics and political science. At Amherst, Uhuru was exposed to Western political thought, liberal democratic ideals, and economic theories that contrasted sharply with the post-colonial realities of African governance. These studies broadened his worldview and laid the intellectual foundation for his later approach to economic management and development policy as a political leader. While in the U.S., Uhuru was known for maintaining a low profile, focusing primarily on his studies and occasionally participating in student events related to Africa and development. His time abroad also deepened his appreciation for Kenya's potential and challenges. After graduating from Amherst in the mid-1980s, he returned home to Kenya, where he joined the family business and began to engage more deeply in national affairs. The Kenyatta family is one of the most influential in Kenyan history. Jomo Kenyatta, the family patriarch, was not only a nationalist leader but also a symbol of African independence movements across the continent. His wife, Mama Ngina Kenyatta, played a significant role as Kenya's First Lady, supporting various social initiatives and maintaining a strong influence in political and cultural circles even after Jomo's death in 1978. Growing up under such powerful figures meant that Uhuru inherited not just wealth, but also a powerful political legacy, intertwined with Kenya's national identity. In his personal life, Uhuru Kenyatta has often portrayed himself as a devoted family man. He is married to Margaret Wanjiru Gakuo Kenyatta, who served as Kenya's First Lady from 2013 to 2022. Margaret Kenyatta is admired for her humility and commitment to humanitarian causes, particularly maternal health and child welfare through her Beyond Zero campaign. Together, the couple has 3 children, Jomo, Jaba, and Ingina. The Kenyattas have maintained a relatively private family life, occasionally appearing in public together during national events or charity initiatives. After returning from the United States, Uhuru initially managed family businesses, including the vast Kenyatta farms and holdings in the tourism sector. However, his entry into active politics was almost inevitable given his heritage. His early exposure to political life, his education, and the expectations surrounding his family name eventually drew him into public service in the late 1990s. Though this essay focuses on his early life and family rather than his political career, it is important to note that these early experiences laid the foundation for his later leadership style. His upbringing in a politically charged environment, coupled with exposure to international education, created a leader who was both steeped in Kenya's traditions and conversant with global political and economic systems. Uhuru Kenyatta's political journey is one deeply intertwined with Kenya's post-independence political history. As the son of Jomo Kenyatta, the country's founding president, Uhuru inherited both a powerful name and a complex legacy. His path to the presidency was neither straightforward nor uncontested. It was shaped by personal ambition, shifting political alliances, ethnic dynamics, and national transformation. From his first forays into politics in the 1990s to his eventual election as Kenya's 4th president in 2013, Kenyatta's rise reflects the evolution of Kenyan politics from one-party dominance to a competitive multi-party democracy. Uhuru Kenyatta's entry into politics came in the late 1990s, a period of transition and turbulence in Kenya. Following the death of President Jomo Kenyatta in 1978, the Kenyatta family had largely stayed out of active politics, focusing instead on business and philanthropy. However, by the 1990s, Kenya was undergoing major political change. The reintroduction of multi-party politics in 1991 after years of one-party rule under Daniel Arap Mayo opened the door for new political players. Encouraged by allies of the then-ruling party, the Kenya African National Union (KANU), and perhaps aware of his symbolic power as the son of Kenya's founding father, Uhuru decided to enter public life. In 1997, he contested the Gatundu South parliamentary seat on a KANU ticket. Despite his family's prominence, he lost to Moses Mwihia, a relatively unknown candidate, in what was considered a humbling start to his political career. This early defeat, however, did not deter him. Instead, it exposed him to the realities of grassroots politics and the need to build genuine local and national support. Uhuru's political star began to rise again when President Daniel Arap Moi took a personal interest in grooming him for leadership. In 1999, Moi appointed Uhuru as the chairman of the Kenya Tourism Board, a move that gave him administrative experience and national visibility. His political ascent accelerated in 2001 when he was nominated as a member of parliament and appointed Minister of Tourism and Wildlife. The same year, he became one of KNU's vice chairmen, signaling his growing influence within the ruling party. In 2002, President Moi made a bold and controversial decision by endorsing Uhuru Kenyatta as his preferred successor. Moi's choice was surprising to many, as Uhuru was still relatively young and inexperienced compared to seasoned politicians like Raila Odinga, George Sitoti, and Kalonzo Musyoka. Moa's endorsement of Uhuru was widely seen as an attempt to preserve his political influence beyond his presidency, but it also provoked rebellion within KANU. Several key figures left the party and joined forces to form the National Rainbow Coalition, NARC, rallying around opposition leader Mwai Kibaki. The 2002 general election marked Uhuru's first bid for the presidency, and one of the most pivotal moments in his political journey. Running as KANU's presidential candidate, he faced Mwai Kibaki of NARC, who had the backing of most of the opposition. The election became a referendum on Ma's long rule and his attempt to anoint Uhuru as his successor. Despite a spirited campaign and the support of the state machinery, Uhuru Kenyatta suffered a landslide defeat. Kibaki won with over 60% of the vote, while Uhuru garnered only about 30%. After the election, Uhuru gracefully conceded defeat, publicly congratulating Kibaki, a gesture that earned him respect even among opponents. Though he lost, his visibility as a national leader was now firmly established, and he became the leader of the official opposition in parliament in 2003. As leader of the opposition, Uhuru took on the role of holding the Kibaki administration accountable, though his relationship with the government was often complex. During this period, he worked to rebuild KANU, which had been weakened by defections and the loss of its long-standing grip on power. His leadership style evolved from that of a political novice to a more confident and pragmatic politician. In the lead-up to the 2005 constitutional referendum, Uhuru aligned himself with the opposition faction known as the Orange Movement, led by Raila Odinga. This coalition opposed the government-sponsored draft constitution. The No camp won the referendum, marking a significant blow to President Kibaki and demonstrating Uhuru's growing political relevance. However, by the 2007 general election, political alliances shifted again. Uhuru rejoined KANU, which supported Kibaki's re-election bid under the Party of National Unity (PNU) coalition. This move was widely viewed as strategic, helping to consolidate KQ unity. The 2007 election ended in crisis. Disputed results between Kibaki and Raila Odinga sparked widespread violence, leading to over 1,000 deaths and the displacement of hundreds of thousands. Uhuru Kenyatta, as a prominent PNU figure, was accused of involvement in orchestrating retaliatory attacks during the conflict. In 2011, the International Criminal Court (ICC) at The Hague charged Uhuru Kenyatta and several others, including William Ruto, with crimes against humanity. Uhuru denied all charges, maintaining his innocence and describing the case as politically motivated. Despite the charges, he continued to participate in national politics, using the ICC ordeal to rally support by framing it as an attack on Kenyan sovereignty. The charges against him and Ruto were later dropped in 2014 due to lack of sufficient evidence, but the episode had a profound impact on Kenya's politics and his political narrative. In the run-up to the 2013 general elections, Uhuru and Ruto, former political rivals, joined forces to form the Jubilee Alliance, uniting their respective ethnic and political bases, primarily the Kikuyu and Kalenjin communities. Their partnership was a masterstroke in coalition building and reshaped Kenya's political landscape. The alliance emphasized themes of national unity, youth empowerment, and economic development. In March 2013, Uhuru Kenyatta ran for president against Raila Odinga of the Coalition for Reforms and Democracy. Despite facing the ICC charges during the campaign, Uhuru projected an image of defiance and resilience, portraying himself as a victim of international injustice. He won the election with 50.07% of the vote, just enough to avoid a runoff. Raila Odinga challenged the results in court, but the Supreme Court upheld Uhuru's victory, paving the way for his inauguration on April 9, 2013, as Kenya's fourth president. Uhuru's first term focused on infrastructure development, economic growth, and digital transformation. However, his administration also faced challenges such as corruption scandals, public debt concerns, and social inequalities. In the 2017 general election, Uhuru again faced Raila Odinga. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, declared him the winner. But the Supreme Court annulled the results, citing irregularities, a first in Africa's history. A repeat election was held in October 2017, which Raila boycotted, allowing Uhuru to win with over 98% of the vote. In his second term, Uhuru sought to secure his legacy through the Big Four agenda, focusing on manufacturing, universal health care, affordable housing, and food security. His surprising handshake with Raila Odinga in 2018 symbolized reconciliation and an effort to end political divisions. This period also saw the controversial Building Bridges Initiative, BBI, which aimed to reform the Constitution but was eventually halted by the courts. Uhuru Kenyatta's political journey to the presidency is a story of endurance, adaptation, and political pragmatism. From a young, inexperienced candidate in 1997 to the leader of one of